Both of them would agree that she was clearly crossing the lines and would stand up for me, but their mother was exhausting. When it came time to give birth, we didn't have time to inform anyone as I went into preterm labor at 33 weeks and our baby boy was born at 34 weeks via duct emergency C-section after all efforts of natural birth failed. After my husband checked that both I and the baby were okay, he announced our son's birth on the family group chat and also informed my family. Everyone was so happy and busy congratulating me, but Mill had yet another meltdown about not being told I was in labor and that the baby had been born. She sent us a barrage of texts personally saying how she should have been there in the delivery room with me watching her grandchild coming into this world. This was absolutely ridiculous since I would have never allowed her in, but I didn't reply to correct her delusions as I was busy with my baby. When we announced his name, she called my husband crying about how it sounded too Mexican and that he should keep a different name. When my husband said he liked our son's name, she said how it could be our son's middle name but we needed to keep a different name. We obviously didn't listen and she kept fussing about it. When it came time for her to meet our son, she insisted on calling him a completely different name, which took us by surprise. She tried to justify saying how this could be her special little name for him, but my husband firmly asked her to cut it out. She also hates the fact that I breastfeed my son because then I would have to take him away from her, and she says that I should start feeding him formula so then she can spend more time with him. My mother, who was also present with me, informed her how a newborn baby needs to have breast milk, but Mill kept arguing that it was not fair. As you can imagine, her taunts and controlling nature were becoming more and more unbearable and clear to everyone. The final straw came when she invited me out for lunch saying that she had something important to talk about. I kept trying to cancel the lunch several times, but she begged me saying that it was imperative that we had to meet. When I turned up, she greeted me warmly and we sat down to order our food. I then asked her why she wanted to ask me out for lunch, and it was then that Mill asked if I had thought about who our son's godfather would be. I pursed my lips hearing this since I knew she would not like the answer. I carefully explained to her how SIL and I had discussed this and we were each other's children's godparents. Mill burst out crying in the middle of the restaurant hearing this and started yelling about how I could do this to her. She said SIL had her family and I should make her my son's godmother since she had every right to take care of my son as his grandparent. I reminded her how she thought SIL was better equipped than me, so naturally, she should be happy that my son would be taken care of well by her, but Mill argued back that only she could be trusted and I should make her my son's godparent. Her ridiculous demands were starting to get on my nerves and I told her firmly that we were done discussing this and that if she wanted she could discuss this with my husband later. Later, I did tell SIL regarding my lunch and she didn't like how Mill didn't want her to be our son's godparent. My husband also didn't understand why my Mill was behaving this way and kept ignoring her calls. Last week, SIL gave birth to her daughter and she had asked me to be in the delivery room for support since I have been through this. I happily obliged and was there with her throughout the night while my husband and my mother took care of our son at home. In the morning, after SIL had given birth and I made sure her boyfriend was there to take over the duties, I left to come back home and rest. Throughout the day, I received calls from Mill, but I was too tired to talk with her and was busy spending time with my son. In the evening, my husband, who had gone to check on his sister, came back home amused. I thought he was happy to meet his nephew, but he told me that he was even happier for another news. This is when he revealed that apparently, SIL, tired of Mill's toxic behavior, took